In this video, you are going to learn EC2 instance metadata. And this is very important to understand because this EC2 instance metadata has information which you can leverage for your automation within the EC2 instance. So this EC2 instance metadata is available on a single IP endpoint, 169.254, 169.254. Any instance you log in, this is the IP, you have this metadata available. If you are new here, I am Chris from iCloud Excel. I'm ex-Amazonian. I have spent over 23 years working in IT infrastructure and AWS cloud technologies, including over a decade in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, helping organizations to build solutions on AWS cloud. On this channel, I help you master on AWS cloud, DevOps, AI through simple explanations, real-world scenarios, and hands-on learning. What you're going to learn in this video? So you're going to learn EC2 instance metadata in plain English and how you can access this and how you can automate using those information. Then metadata versus user data. It's very critical to understand the difference between metadata versus user data. Then at the end, I'm going to give you some security tips which you can use it for your certification preparation. Imagine you wake up in the morning and without any memory, you don't know what's your name, where you live, what city, what place, whatever it is. But someone came to you and gave you the identity card. That identity card has all the information. Now you have all the information. Same thing does EC2 instance metadata. When EC2 instance comes up, it doesn't have any information like which availability zone it is in, which region, what is the private IP, what is the public IP, all other metadata information. So it doesn't have any information. So what it happens is metadata service holds all the information. Now, if you log into the EC2 instance, you can call that API on a single IP address, all the information available. And if you call that and you get that metadata information and use them for your automation. And this kind of automation happens all the time. Believe me, I have used many times during migration, and especially it is useful when you launch multiple EC2 instance in multiple availability zone. That time it becomes really critical because application sometimes depends on that IP address what EC2 instance has, and based on that IP that application starts up. As I said before, that EC2 instance metadata is a collection of data about that EC2 instance, accessible from inside the server itself. No password, no API key required, no credential needed. You can just access it. And how do you access it? It is available on http://169.254, 169.254/latest/metadata. And I will show you inside the EC2 instance. I will demonstrate you how you can access it. So instance metadata is the data about EC2 instance, like ID of that EC2 instance, IP address, region, IAM credentials that instance can access from within itself via special local endpoint 169.254, 169.254. How it works? You boot the EC2 instance, you basically launch the EC2 instance, and applications send request to get the access of that metadata. And now metadata service is running, which is version 2. Remember this IMDS instance metadata service version 2. It is very critical because version 1 has a security flaw which solved, and now we have a version 2. And this IMDS version 2 has all the information about that EC2 instance. That's why it is called metadata. It is a data about the data, metadata. All right. The real world use case, the Netflix, the FinTech startup, the Capital One, all these big companies, they leverage this metadata information. And this IMDS service or metadata service also stores temporary credentials if you assign a role to EC2 instance. So I will come to that later, but for now, you know that all the big businesses uses this metadata service for their automation, such as Netflix. They use auto scaling group to launch multiple EC2 instances in multiple availability zone, and that application, when it starts up, it basically depends on that IP address. So how does that automation script get this IP address? So metadata service provides an IP address, and that IP address used in application, and application starts up. because every time new EC2 instance comes, this comes with new IP address. If application has a dependency on IP address, how do you get that? This is how you get it. So all big companies does it. FinTech startup, EC2 app needs S3 access. How do you get it? You assign a role. In that role, you actually allow access to S3. And how do you get the temporary credentials? So metadata service store that temporary credentials, and you get a application when it wants to get access, it makes a call to the metadata service, get the access and token basically, and make a call to the S3 API. Capital One, they actually found that bug on IMDS version 1, and that's how IMDS version 2 came, and there's heavy users of metadata service for their automations. What is the difference between Userdata and metadata? Before going there, I wanted to show you on the terminal how you can access the metadata service. So this is the console, and here you see one EC2 instance running. This is the EC2 instance running. I'm gonna go to the networking tab and get this public IP, log into that EC2 instance. So I'm copying this public IP here. Rest of the information is same. EC2 user is the user, and this is a PEM key. We are using key-mumbai.pem. All right, enter. The instance is running. Here I am, EC2 instance. Now within that EC2 instance, I want to get all of these information from metadata service. How do you do that? So first thing is metadata service 1 and metadata service 2. Difference is metadata service 2 has a token system. Without token, you cannot get this information. But metadata service 1, because there was no token, so there was a flaw and hackers used it and there was a problem in the system. So now it came with metadata service 2, you need a token. The first thing what we need to get the token. So for the token, you make this curl command, right? And assign this value inside the token variable. Okay. Now if you echo $token, you should see that token value. You see that token. This is the token. You got it. Using this token now, you can make a API call to that IP. Let's say I want to get the instance ID of this instance, right? So what do? You just run a curl command, and this is the curl command you ran, and you see output as a instance ID. So what was the command? Understand the structure. This is the token we are providing. This is the API call to the metadata service. This is available on 169.254.169.254 /latest/meta-data/instance ID. Under this, all the metadata available. Let me run this command one more time without the last instance ID information, right? I'm gonna remove that instance ID. Oops, I think I removed more. So latest/meta-data. All right. So I think that token is not working anymore. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the token again. Echo, is the token available? Okay. So metadata, no, it's not taking it. Instance ID again. So it's giving me the instance ID. Now let's say I want to get that instance type. So same command, but only API will be the different. Same command, same, we are using the token, but in this case instance type. Here it is, instance type. Now you see it's a T3 micro, you get that. So based on that, same way there are other information. Let me give you the other very popular metadata API call is, let's say, the availability zone. This is heavily used for your automation. Availability zone, because EC2 instance doesn't have the information. You see AP South 1A, right? So this is the Mumbai region, availability zone in Mumbai region. Let me give you other one. I have a note here. I frequently use this metadata API call. That's why I'm giving you the profile info. Let's say what's the instance profile you have. In case if you have it, boom, it doesn't have any profile, so it doesn't give any output. All right. So let me say local host name. Another one is public IP. Let's say I want to get the public IP so that I want to access the web servers running on this system. All right. So this is the public IP. Now using this public IP, I can go to the browser and access this web service. http:// looks like service is down or its port 80 is not enabled. All right. If I go there, security group, so let me see whether port 80 is enabled. Oops, it doesn't. So what we're gonna do is add rule HTTP, and from my IP save the rule. Now if I go and refresh, it should give me the web page. There you go, automated EC2 website. This is the web service running inside the system, and I can access using the public IP because I was able to get the public IP from within the EC2 instance. So this is how I'm gonna paste all of these API calls, and you can try on your own. Let me know if you have any trouble and put a comment below, and I will help you out to solve it. All right, so this is how you access it. Last thing I wanted to show you that here I created one shell script for automation. I wanted to show you that you can do automate, right? You can do automation using this metadata. So this is the simple script. The script says it basically getting that token first, right? Once it has it, then what it is doing, it's defining variables and getting those information from the metadata. Get meta. So this is the variable, right? And you can execute it. If you see, it is fetching the value. If you go up, you see that there is a variable defined get meta, and get meta is basically nothing but first line, it's getting the token, and then this get meta actually is complete command here. Whatever $1 value you submit with $1 value, and it's going to get rest of the instance ID, instance type, availability zone, private IP. This script is gathering all the information and displaying using echo and putting that whole output to temp instance info. Now once you get this output, you can have another script which can read this output and execute something else. Let me execute it. All right, let me execute it. sh meta data.sh. all right, boom, it executed. You see this output is given using the metadata service. Okay, and as I said before, /tmp, in that script there is a file created and it's storing the data there. So this file is created. If you do cat this file, you see all the output is here. Now you can have another script which can read this file and automate or execute something else. This is how this automation works. I just wanted to demonstrate this stuff to you. Let's go back to the presentation. Before we go any further, I want to tell you about something which is going to change how fast you can grow on AWS. I have built a private community called 10x AWS Builder, and it is not just another Facebook group or Discord server or WhatsApp group with a lot of noise. This is focused and professional community built specifically for people like you, people who are serious about building their AWS career, passing their certifications, getting hired or promoted to the next cloud role. Here is what you get the moment you sign up. Weekly live Q&A calls. Ask me anything about AWS certifications, jobs. This will be live Q&A weekly sessions. I hold that Zoom call and you get answer instantly, and we can brainstorm as well on your problem, and you get direct mentorship. I will personally help you to build your learning roadmap, your certification path, fix your gaps, and keep you accountable for your goals. And I will guide you on this every step of the way. Third thing, you get 24/7 community access. At night 11 p.m. you got a questions, just post your questions. Our community never sleeps. Someone from your community member will answer it. And you get peer network of serious AWS learners. The people who join 10x AWS Builder, they are not here to watch passively. They are building, certifying, and landing cloud jobs. And that energy is contagious. Link in the description below. I will see you in the community. So here is the difference between user data and metadata. It's very critical to understand. User data is basically custom data or script you provide at launch. Let's say I want to build a web server. You can run, execute, or set up commands, and you can put there in user data. But metadata is the data about the instance, availability zone information, private, public IPs, right? The purpose of user data is bootstrapping one instance. You wanna convert it to the web server or any application server. But the metadata is instance self-discovery. like ID, IPs, availability zone, region, all this information. And user data is set by you as a user during the launch, but the metadata is set by AWS. You don't do anything. AWS automation does it. It starts that metadata service. Version 2 is the latest and it has all the information. And you can access user data using that metadata service endpoint itself. So latest / user data, you will get that user data information, and metadata also available / latest / meta data. So all the other APIs available under this metadata, and it is editable. User data, it is editable, you can edit it, but the metadata you cannot edit it. It is read-only information provided by AWS. For example, for user data, a shell script to install Apache, this is user data, but metadata, instance ID, local IPv4, these are the information you can get it from the metadata service for your further automation. I hope it made sense to you. Now for the exam, remember the magic IP 169.254, 169.254. This is the endpoint for the metadata service. And number 2, metadata service 1 versus metadata service 2. So service version 2 has a token, version 1 doesn't. So version 2 is more safe to use. Metadata versus user data, as I said before, metadata is set by AWS and it has all the metadata information about the instance, but the user data is basically a place to paste your command or script which can be executed during the launch. IAM role credentials for metadata service, actually it stores the temporary credentials. You can call or use that token for S3 access or any other whatever you assigned into the IAM role. And before you end this video, just remember this key information already I shared with you just for your reference, and download this PowerPoint if you want to. I will paste a link below in the description so you can keep it as a reference. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this gives you good information about what is metadata service, how you can use it and how you can access it. I will see you in the next piece.